The first Christians were no strangers to cruel treatment. From the brutal deaths of Stephen and James to the repeated beatings and imprisonments of Peter and Paul, suffering merely for being a follower of Jesus was becoming a common price to pay in the early church. Yet in 64 AD, Christians would encounter cruelty on an altogether new and unimaginable level. This was no longer about religious differences or political insecurities. This was about sheer evil, cruelty for its own sake. Now, Christians, like everyone else in the Roman Empire, had heard nasty stories about Emperor Nero's wild parties, public narcissism, and insane cruelty. Now Christians were about to experience that brutality firsthand. The Great Fire of Rome broke out on July 18, 64 AD. Rome had endured fires before, but this was the worst in its history. The historian Tacitus said that the fire began at the east end of the Circus Maximus at the foot of Palatine Hill. After about a week, the raging fire consumed 10 of Rome's 14 districts, nearly 3/4 of the entire city. There were countless dead and an estimated 200,000 homeless. There were reports that those trying to fight the fire were prevented from doing so. Many said this came on orders from the imperial palace. In the end, rumors started to spread that Nero himself was responsible for burning Rome so that he could rebuild it in his own glorious image. According to ancient historian Tacitus, this is when things got really bad for the Christians. Consequently, to get rid of the reports, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations called Christians. Tacitus' Annals. In addition to throwing Christians into the arena to fight beasts such as lions, bears, and wild dogs, Nero crucified them and burned them alive, using them as human torches to light the city at night. The worst persecution of Christians to this point in history had started. Unimaginable cruelty would now spread throughout Rome and the rest of the Roman Empire. This is the Circus Maximus, the largest of all entertainment venues in the Roman Empire. It was originally built for public games connected to religious festivals. Now, the Circus Maximus had a capacity of over 150,000 people, and it was used for horse races, chariot races, festivals, music, plays, athletics, and gladiator contests. However, during the persecution of Nero, the Circus Maximus was also used for the killing of Christians who were forced to fight wild beasts here and endure other horrific executions. Here's what the Circus Maximus probably looked like just before the Great Fire of Rome. The smaller Circus of Nero on the other side of the Tiber River was also used for inflicting torture and death on the Christians, especially while the Circus Maximus was being repaired after the Great Fire. Although the Great Fire of 64 AD severely damaged the structures on Palatine Hill, it also cleared a huge amount of space in the city. This allowed Nero to construct a new gigantic palace complex, complete with an artificial lake and gardens that occupied at least 100 acres of central Rome. This new palace of Nero was called the Domus Aurea, or the Golden House, due to its over-the-top decorations of gold, jewels, ivory, marble, and a revolving ceiling. Outside the main entrance to the palace complex was a huge, nearly 100-foot bronze statue called Colossus Neronis, the Colossus of Nero, which towered over the area and portrayed Nero as a god.